everybody. What's going on? We got a little edit privacy. I will fix this. Public. How about that? We should be public. Everybody should be able to see us now. I'm glad I did that pre-roll. That was cool. I got to watch that and nobody else got to see it. But we got Lee England, not Lee England Jr., we got Ashanti Floyd. Lee England is going to be joining him in just a second, I think. What's happening, man?
Chilling, man. Just moving along with the times, man. Having a good time.
Yeah, man, we haven't had a chance to hang out in person yet, but we've spent a lot of time on email and phone.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan of what you do. You're very important out here to the whole string world, man.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. We're so you have been super busy. For the last 20 years, but recently, with all the stuff going on since George Floyd, there's been a sort of a resurgence, I think, in our country of like maybe a second or third or fifth or 10th civil rights movement, and then the death of Elijah McClain, which actually took place quite a while ago, but people have just started to notice, or people have just kind of figured out what happened. You kind of got thrust into the spotlight with some things happening out there, right?
Right. Very unexpected. From the beginning of this year, I would have not seen all the events that have gone on up until now. But myself, along with Lee, we heard the story of Elijah McClain and saw a violin visual, the first ever violin visual um, going on, and Lee contacted the organizer. He bought a plane ticket to Aurora like 2 days before, and I bought a plane ticket the day before the visual, and we posted it on social media, and our post went viral that we were going there. We immediately were like on the Denver news. I remember having like 800 shares from that article on the same day, and so they made it a big deal that we were coming, and it ended up being a situation where Lee and I had a lot of followers come out there, stream followers, at least 150. Um, they showed up early to the violin visual, and it was sort of crazy because it was a pretty intense day of protesting, peaceful protesting, but the Aurora police, you know, they felt like there was this big protest going on. Somebody must be looting or doing something later, and so people showed up early for the violin vigil, and while all these string players were out there, police just started showing up with riot gear and tear gas and just bombarded the whole vigil, and Leah and I rented a truck with a generator and a sound system. And before we were headed over to the visual, we were being warned that all that was going on, but that really didn't phase Lee and I. We've been on the road for a long time. We've seen a little bit of everything. And so we really hurried up and got out there, and the police department sort of forced all the string players and everyone, hundreds of people, to this one area. Lee and I backed up in that area and put on a concert. Very memorable concert, obviously, because it it really spread throughout the world. It started violin vigils everywhere. I think there's been over 40 now from what we created.
Well,
You know,
I know Pink tweeted something about one of your. She put on Instagram about when you played one of her songs, right?
right? I've been playing Pink. Just Give Me a Reason for like 8 years now. One of my favorite songs, and I play the piano version of that song. And take it, Pink posted an entire clip of me playing that in Aurora while rioting was going on. You could hear in the loudspeakers, "This is an unlawful assembly," and things like that. I stood up and played, and everybody got quiet. And after that song, you could hear the whole riot just stop. All the police stopped everything, and it just turned into a concert. But after that night was over, my both Lee and I, our social medias was going crazy. I didn't even see Pink that she posted it.
Oh wow.
Like I turned off my phone because it's just out of
Right.
control. Hundreds. And I remember that night getting like um 3,000 over 3,000 followers in a couple of hours. And 12 hours later, I go to social media. Lee said something. Hey, I heard Pink posted a video. So I go to Pink's page and it's me playing her song. She posted the whole entire song, IGTV.
Wow.
And I look under the comments and my sister tagged me. I didn't see that. I had friends tagging me, I had family. I was like, man, this
Wow.
is crazy because we didn't know that this would have this big of an effect. Lee and I were just sitting at the Airbnb looking at each other like, whoa, what just happened last night? We had a lot of fire in us and we jammed the hell out too.
No doubt. Well,
Yeah.
we've got you guys played Hallelujah at one point, right?
Right. First, the first four songs, Lee and I had it planned. We didn't even plan the music until 2 hours before we went out there. Everything was on the fly. So we opened up with Amazing Grace a cappella first, and we could still hear, the policemen on the loudspeakers. And then I played Pink. Lee played a song. Everything was quiet then. We had everyone's attention. And then we played Hallelujah. And you could just hear people out there crying. You could look on their faces and see like almost a sense of relief that everything calmed down and we could finally get on with the visual and the protest. It was really a community healing. That community really needed to heal, and they needed, we figured out later, they needed people like Lee and us, from the outside to come in and be a voice because they were fighting so hard to be heard before this story really took off.
Right.
And it was like wow after that because the New York Times and the Boston Globe and
I think BuzzFeed picked it up, right?
everybody, BuzzFeed, NPR. I mean, now we have Vice News calling us and Apple and all these people. And then all these violin visuals as a result across the country. We ended up going to go do one in Central Park in New York.
Mm-hmm.
We had hundreds of people there, social distance and mask, spread out the park. We did an Atlanta pop-up show.
I've actually got video of a bunch of these. I want to show people the video of the of Hallelujah, and we'll be back in just a second. So y'all enjoy the. This is super super powerful, super powerful. right. So that was Hallelujah from Aurora, and that was the night that you guys were out there the first time, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so the cops did come out and tear gas everybody, right?
Yeah, that was right before the moment you saw, probably like an hour and a half before that. Um, I mean, you had kids out there, a little bit of everybody out there just chilling, and you had a guy pull up in his truck too with his speakers, and he was killing it on his electric violin.
I saw
You
that.
know,
Who is that?
what's his
I
name?
think he had an MSI violin. I recognize the violin, but I didn't recognize him.
I could tell you in a second here. I'm just drawing blanks.
But he was crushing it.
Jeff Hughes.
Okay, yep, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Hey, Cremain
Um,
is here. What's up, Cremain Booker?
Man, what's up? Jeff Hughes, he's a great violinist. So he was there first, and he was doing a great job. He was getting them riled up, and the police just, they felt like they needed to assert their position because they thought a violin visual was going to get dangerous.
Yeah, nothing more dangerous than violin music.
Right. And so Lee and I pulled up in the truck after people were just really exhausted. Some people were tear gas, people were crying. But when we pulled up, we were driving down the road. You can see all these string players with their instruments just walking down the road, just ready, like they were going to war. And it really is a really incredible moment. I was like, wow. I looked at Lee. I was like, man, 2 days of planning and things like that. This is how powerful this is. And when we pulled up in the truck, most string players were in this big circle, everybody playing.
Right.
And we set up and just started the show. And that whole community just soaked it up. I play with my eyes closed. When I play, I'm really like just right here in this space.
I do a lot too.
And people keep asking me how many people were out there, and I really didn't know until I saw the video.
Right.
I'm guessing at first I was guessing a couple of hundred, but it was really a couple of thousand people out there over the bridge everywhere. We were across the street from the Aurora movie theater, the theater that was shot up too.
Mm-hmm.
We were playing across the street from that. And so it was a pretty interesting moment full of joy, tears. I mean, every emotion. But about time we left the place, you can tell the community needed that healing.
No doubt. So there's some more vigils planned, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. They're in the works. A lot of people are doing their own visuals. I mean, this is a global thing now.
Sure.
Lee and I are we've sort of taken a step back to take steps forward
Mm-hmm.
in our because we have a purpose with our mission. You know, as we go around, there's a lot of things important right now, like voting. A lot of people aren't educated on voting, on local elections, on the judicial elections, or the, you know, legislative, and a lot of people just focus on the executive.
Sure.
That's a big problem in our own community, the Black community. And so we've been going around, spreading the message to not only vote, but educate yourself on those things, a lot of things that plague our communities, like financial literacy and voting and things like that, because we have to start from somewhere. And so we've always had a message going out, but the message it grows each time we do it. And we have a lot of involvement right now, really cool involvement. Some things I can't say, but they're pretty big, and man, I can't wait because it's going to make a difference for a lot of musicians out there. We're out here not just fighting for a cause, but um, for Elijah, but for musicians in general as well. We're bringing awareness to the arts and how art can be used to take action and how important it is out here.
Man, I did an interview with DBR for my podcast not too long ago, and one of the things that he and I were talking about is like this year is something else. But the fact that the quarantine and the sort of this resurgent civil rights movement have all happened kind of at the same time. I mean, you hate to say that any of this is good, but the fact that there's not sports going on, that there's not a whole lot of other distractions, people are kind of stuck at home. It's allowing things like the Violin Vigils and some of the work that you guys are doing to get more visibility than I think it would have had otherwise, right?
Right, right. I mean, it's done that for us too. You know, it's like wow, you go from sitting at home to being so busy that it's crazy off of moving with purpose, you know? And it's I always tell people these days if you're not moving with a purpose, then you're barely moving. You know, it's really important. If you move with a purpose, then you'll see a lot of things soar and make sense. You know, it's a lot of people have seen or gone to social media for, you know, the fun of things, and which is great to shed that light. But when you attach it to a purpose, these days, you're really going to move because everyone is looking for something to attach themselves to during this moment to make them feel a certain type way, you know? Because when you scroll down social media these days, all you see is orange this, black this, white this, brown this. You know what I mean? And when you can, as artists, when you can portray your message through sound, you're doing something, you know, without saying anything. When you could get the message across with your art, that's doing a lot these days.
For sure. Well, we're certainly not touring right now. It's so there's a lot of musicians that kind of have a lot of I think pent up stuff that we've got to say,
Hmm.
and it's been nice to see that there's been some outlet for that, and like you said, it's we'll hear a lot of times from people, well, why don't you just shut up and sing or just shut up and play? Well, the message has always been political. The message has always been about meaning. We're not singers. We're not just singing about cars and girls all the time. There's other things to talk about, more important things to talk about.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's a problem if you're singing about cars and girls once in a while, but in 2020, it just kind of seems a little trivial, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it definitely does. It's very interesting. 2020 dropped like a bomb. Like a ever since Kobe, it's just been like whoosh.
Right? I'm not saying Kobe was holding the world together, but
It's like he was the start of everything just going nuts out here. And it's so easy these days, especially being at home quarantine as an artist, to lose your mind, to go crazy. I've had to talk to a lot of musicians like just remember that you're a creator. There's so many things you can do just by being that alone. You know, if you just have courage, have muster up courage. You know, this a lot of this stuff hasn't been easy.
sure.
Um,
Hey, Patrick Contreras is here. What's up, Patrick? And Rodney Page, Sandra. Good to see you guys.
Patrick and Rodney, I love both of them. I've been following them for both a long time. Uh, Patrick for a long time. Both of them. Patrick, man, is mean. Both of them are mean in their own rights. So, what's up, guys? Um, but right now is a time to really, really muster up courage with your art, because if you don't, you'll find yourself being stuck in a place that might drive you insane. You know, just sitting behind. I saw you post something the other day about, you can't just. It's not easy just living a virtual life. After a while, you get tired. I was tired of going on playing these virtual concerts.
Man.
It was driving me crazy, especially as a father. I already have 3 kids that drive me crazy.
That's their job.
Right. They drive me crazy. And so when I put them to bed and I, every night and had to go virtual and take in donations, just to make sure I'm just keeping it flowing. Sometimes it didn't feel like I was in it to have fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what you should be doing first as a musician, playing from the heart, having fun. It felt like something I was forcing myself to do.
Right.
Just because this is all we had to work with. And I finally realized after going to Aurora that we have so much more to give as musicians out here, especially string players.
No doubt.
String players, we're not the average musician. We have a voice that can create many languages, and reach all sorts of people and situations. And I always tell my friends, don't forget about your voice, and that we all uniquely have different voices out here. There's enough room for everyone to be a voice. And you can see that with these violin vigils. It's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and to know that Lee and the team and I were the creators of the violin vigil, and seeing that every day, it gives me chills.
We've actually got some video from your New York violin vigil, and it's one of the things that sometimes we see in the classical world, that they're creating these commodity players where one player sounds very much like another player. And one of the exciting things about you and Lee is that you both have a really, really different sound and a different feel, and you guys mesh so well together. But there's never any question as to which one of y'all is playing at any given time. It's definitely different, and I think it's cool for people to see. Wow, this, like, the expression, it's so personal to each one of you guys that Ashanti doesn't sound like Lee and Lee doesn't sound like Ashanti. Well, maybe then that means that I get to sound like what I want to sound like instead of like the guy who's sitting next to me. Because in orchestra, they want each player to sound exactly the same.
Right.
And I think it's inspiring for young kids to see that you guys have really got your own sound and style.
Man, I really take pride in even telling other musicians it's okay to be different. It's okay to try new things. It's okay to do things that other people might not accept you for. A lot of people talk about my vibrato. I mean, throughout the last 15 years, I get crazy messages from everybody. Oh, how do you do that vibrato? How do you do that? And I'm like, it's something that I had to be picked on first to do. It's something that my mom had to scream at me and be like, what the hell are you doing, before it made sense. I had to go through a lot of things to develop my style and become the musician I am today. But the one big thing is I never had fear, and I never listened to anyone tell me how to use my voice.
Well, let's listen to some of that work that you guys did in New York.
Here, it's going to be a lot of improvisatory moments. We're just going to build. We're just going to grow. We've got all these string players here. Give it up for the string players. Give it up for yourselves. My name is Lee England Jr., by the way. Thank you for asking. This is Ashanti Floyd, the mad violinist. Yeah, man, we out here. All right, so I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna read a quote. We're losing heroes left and right. Today is the birthday of Nelson Mandela. As we remember him today, let's remember he reminds us that no one is born hating another person because of the color of his or her skin, or his background, or her religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart.
Man, that was so cool.
Man, that moment right there, those moments, you can't relive those moments unless you're, I mean, there actually. You know what I mean? Like, you can't make those moments up right there. And I'm glad they were captured on video.
And shout
You
out to
know,
Kev Marcus. He's here.
Kev, Black Violin, love you guys.
Man, can't wait to see those guys back on tour.
Yeah, me too, man. For real.
They had posted something the other day about, like, what is your favorite moment from a Black Violin show? I'm like, I think my favorite moments are all kind of fuzzy. We usually get a chance to hang out afterwards, so it's a good time.
That's what's up. I heard that.
So
They
yeah, in case anybody's wondering, this is Ashanti, not Ashanti and Lee, as the caption says here. Lee is on his way, supposedly. So I'm
Lee
hoping
called
he
me
makes
from
it in.
the
We get a chance to chat a little bit. I met him at a NAMM show a couple of years ago, and he was absolutely wrecking it.
Yeah, he pulled up at the airport at 11, so he must be doing something. He rented a car, and he must be just rolling around Atlanta doing something. I don't know.
Maybe he's got some people to meet up.
Yeah, later we're gonna be kind of fuzzy too, man.
Good times.
Good times.
So if you guys are doing another vigil coming up anytime soon, if where would people find out about that so they can join you?
We have a website called teachpeace.worldwide.
Okay.
It'll be posted on there. That's what we call our movement, Teach Peace, because we're teaching about, voters' rights and things like that, along with what we do. We've been in a lot of communities just recently in Louisville in Breonna Taylor's neighborhood with her aunt and people. We played actually in downtown Louisville with everybody was walking around with machine guns.
Oh.
We've been in some situations, put it that way. Thank God I grew up a gangster. And so, a lot of people ask us if we fear like a lot of situations. We don't. Lee's from Chicago. I grew up on the south side of Tallahassee. This is all to us just it's not something to fear. It's action to us. It's spreading a message. Um, but it's also a learning experience as well. And so we're grateful for it.
So teachpeace.world, right?
Yep.
All right. I will get that up here on the screen. Oops. It's coming. There it is on the screen. So this is where you can go to find out more information about where the Violin Vigils are going to be. And you guys have merch and stuff available too, right?
Right. I'll put the merch page back up in a week.
Okay.
I had to take it down for a little bit because the orders are just so crazy, hundreds, and we just had to slow it down because of production.
Right.
And also on my website, AshantiFloyd.com, is merch as well. But merch is going well. I invested in a merchandise business, and so I own my own merchandise business. Make it all here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's working out pretty well right now. Again, since there's no touring.
Yeah, I was like, I've always wanted to invest in other businesses. That's always the goal for everybody,
Sure.
you know. And I just got up one day and I bought all the shirt stuff and the hat press and the mugs and everything, and it's kicking me in the ass. Don't get it wrong, but Lee said he's 5 minutes away.
Awesome.
But it's cool.
So where's the next place you're headed now?
Well, we're trying to make that decision because the city of Denver actually wants us to play a concert on Sunday.
Okay.
City of Aurora, sorry. They set it up, but like I said, there's certain things going on that might prevent us from doing it. And so Lee and I are about to make a game time decision here whether we want to fly out to Aurora, Colorado tomorrow to do a show that put on by the city.
Well, hopefully everything will smooth out and those things can happen. I know there's just a lot of things to think about right now.
There is a lot of things to think about. The tensions are so high in this country. Everybody's emotions are so high that we have to be careful how we move.
Sure.
Because we have been in situations that a lot of people wouldn't walk into, and now it's getting to the point where we're in the spotlight so much that we face threats and other things, and so we're just treading lightly and being super careful.
Well, we want our music to be a force for good, and sometimes you have to get in the good kind of trouble, right? But
right. I mean, I love the good trouble, man. If it's making change, I'm all about it. It just gives me more of a reason just to shred. When you have those emotions weighing down on you, there's certain things you can't get out of your playing unless you're in a certain situation. I don't care how much you practice, how much you're at home jamming in front of a computer. There's just certain feelings you can't get out unless you're on stage. You find yourself doing things you've never done before.
Right.
And that's the kind of situation we've been getting into. The vibes have been so tense that it gives us a whole nother, gives us more fuel inside, gives us more fire. And so that takes over our playing. And when you have the flexibility that we have as musicians, you can really express yourself from the heart in many different ways. And that's what I've taken from all of this is a whole different expression because of the place that I'm in internally, with all the emotions weighing down from George Floyd to everyone. I'm a black man in America too. I live in a county where I deal with a lot of things in Cobb County here. In Atlanta, I've dealt with a lot. I've had people call the police on me just because I was taking Christmas boxes that I bought my kids to the dump because they thought I was stealing them. I got back from the apartment dump 7 years ago, and I get back to my apartment, and it's swarmed by 10 police because one of my neighbors called on me, you know, for just throwing away presents. That's one out of many different situations. There's many situations where I've almost lost my life out here, and so the, what I'm doing right now, it's not just for, the cause of other people, but it's for myself too,
Sure.
for the future of my kids. Um, just moving with purpose out here, and it's for people that look like me, but it's not just for people that look like me. It's for everyone.
Sure.
Um, and I'm just making sure that I use my art in a way that it drives with purpose first.
We've got some film of you. I think you and Lee playing under a bridge, and I think this is in Atlanta, right? Is this where you guys did this concert?
Yeah, we did a pop-up show
Yeah.
at the Beltline in Atlanta. It was crazy, we did that on one day's notice. I had my sound system, and we rented a generator, invited string players. We had a good amount of string players come out too, and just plug in and jam. We had people dancing. It was a great moment.
Well, let's take a look at this real quick, and maybe Lee will pull up in a minute or two.
Yeah, I'm calling.
All right, so Lee has actually pulled up, and they're trying to. Ashanti's gone down to the parking lot to get him. But thank you guys for hanging out with us today. This has been a really fun chat, and looking forward to getting Lee in here and talking to him too. But this is part of what I've been. Oops, I got to go back. Yeah. Ha, there we go. And so, yeah, this has just been part of a series of things that I've been doing lately where I want to talk to some really exciting and interesting players in the world. And we haven't done one of these in a little while, so I thought, man, it's time. And all the good work that Lee and Ashanti are doing, I wanted to bring them to you. So, I think they are back. Let's see what's happening here. Hey, we got them.
Yeah, it was good.
What's up, Lee? I haven't seen you in a little while. I think the last time I saw you was in Los Angeles.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been busy.
A little bit.
When we're watching some of the videos that you guys did, and between Aurora and New York City, and we just saw a little bit in Atlanta, the concert that you guys did, the pop-up concert.
Okay, cool.
So you just landed.
Yeah, we got some things to create, you know?
Well, always.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you guys came up with the idea of doing this thing in Aurora, and how some of that came off, and maybe how some of these the next few concerts are going to go, or the next few vigils are going to go.
Well, we saw what happened to Elijah McClain in Aurora. And as a result of that, someone else actually created a violin vigil. And I know I was immediately drawn to it. Like this feels like something that that I should be a part of. And so as I was like choosing to go, I started putting up posts, calling on all of my other my violinist friends who I know have been making a huge impact and are, in their regions or in the world. And Ashanti was one of the people that I was like, yo, where you gonna be at? What's happening? What's going on? And to my surprise, after I had posted it a day later, Ashanti hit me and was like, yo, I'm pulling up, man. I'm gonna be there with you, man. I can't have my brother out there by himself. And so we did that, man. We went, and it was just the purest expression of love, that we could muster up with the music. And I mean, from that space, we kind of just started seeing that we were a necessary entity and a necessary voice in what's going on out here. And because we feel so strongly about it, and because we feel called to do it, we just started doing it everywhere. Any opportunity that we could get to get together and perform, we did just that. And so moving forward, we're realizing that we have to make it about an initiative that's bigger than what's happening currently, and more about what we don't want to happen anymore, and how to educate ourselves in a way that will allow us to live more peacefully, like as humanity.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic if we could pull that off.
Yeah, I think music is going to be a definite tool at the forefront of that. So we're just taking that mantle and taking it personally to step up and lead that.
Yeah, it's amazing. You guys are great personalities, and anytime you guys pull up, I think people know that they're gonna really see a show that's from the heart, and that there's going to be a lot of talent, but a lot of heart involved too. So
Truly.
yeah, we were talking earlier about the videos that Pink shared, and some of like the huge response that you guys had in Aurora. And the whole thing just went viral. BuzzFeed and Pink and the New York Times and everybody's picking this stuff up. How's your life changed since that happened?
Actually, it hasn't really changed much. I mean, aside from doing more interviews in a like more concentrated space, but this is who we already were. So it wasn't like all of a sudden, life changed so drastically and dramatically. We were already activists. We were already in the know and in the conversation. So this is just how it's changed us. It's been life affirming. It's been like giving us a voice that when we knew we had the voice, but now it's like giving the voice a platform in which people are able to hear it internationally. So that's really more so how life has changed. I mean, and then plus I get to be around Ashanti all the time. You know what I'm saying? He definitely pushes me as a musician, as a man. We have an engaging in dialogue and conversations that are progressive. And yeah, I mean, that's I think the biggest change that I've experienced is actually being able to have a peer, someone who I respect and who I look up to in certain instances, to like bounce ideas off of and challenge on stage, and all those types of things.
He does definitely pushing my limits.
We get on each other's nerves, and musically it's like I've never had that before. I've never had somebody that I'm just like, yo, what's up? And they actually be able to respond in a way that I'm like, oh, okay, I heard you. And so it's definitely the brotherhood that has been created, with the strings and us being able to like really intersect our pathways at this point has been probably the best part of all of this, you know.
Well, that's what I think one of the hardest things for people during the quarantine is that music is meant to be an interactive thing. And we're all sort of stuck in our bedrooms trying to play these, because we still have to eat. So we're trying to do these live streams and asking for donations. And it's cool to be able to play off of a track or a loop or something, but it's never the same as somebody taking your ideas and spinning them and throwing them back at you. And that interaction, I think, is really what makes the magic happen.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, because there's elements and things that you can't plan for, you know, and so it's like both of us being on such a professional level to where we kind of plan for the improvisational part of it, like we know that it's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're prepared for it. So for me to actually be able to like lean on him at certain times and him lean on me and not having to carry the entire show, it's like it becomes like being at the playground, man. Like it's like, yeah.
Right, it's like that pressure is just gone.
Yeah, it's like no, like this is too easy, yo.
Yeah, because we trust each other.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and the ideas just seem to multiply. I might have 5 ideas, and my buddy on stage might have 5 ideas, but between the two of us, there's 500 there.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's exciting. I want to play another video. We've got a video of you guys in Louisville. I think that's the right way to say it too. You gotta swallow when you're saying it. All right, we're gonna check this video out real quick. All right, so yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about y'all's backgrounds. Ashanti said that his mom was his teacher. Lee, what's your musical background so people know?
So for a long time, I didn't know that I was not the only musical person in my family. Like my auntie actually used to sing the blues, like that was her thing. And then I found out that my mother played clarinet in high school. And then somebody stepped on it and she never replaced it. It was over, right? Wow. So, and these are stories that I've literally just learned these maybe like a year ago, you know. But aside from that, everyone sings, you know. I mean, I don't know what person in Black family doesn't attempt to sing, at least in church. But outside of that, I didn't have anyone around me that was a musician except for when I went to church. And at school, I was able to see an exhibition where they played a bunch of instruments and asked us, which one we wanted to do. And I was immediately to the violin. And when I got it home, I picked it up and I played it and I thought it was broken. And so I went to my father like, man, yeah, this ain't it, man. I quit. Like, go get me a violin. And he was like, sure, you can quit. You just got to practice 15 minutes a day. So in my rebellious heart, I was quitting. And I was practicing every day. And it went from like 15 minutes to 30 minutes to by the time I was in 5th grade, I had surpassed what my teacher was able to give me. And I was very competitive. So I was playing a lot of the music that the older children were playing in an attempt to not only just keep up, but to compete. And yeah, it was. My first teacher gave me a lot of love. She gave me a lot of love to get through all my bad teachers. And I wasn't introduced to the classical technique until I got to college. And when I did that, my playing it went through the roof. I already had a pretty solid base, but when I got the classical technique, that's when it was just like, oh, there's this is limitless. Like there's nothing that you can't really do on here.
Right.
Yes, I mean that's pretty much background. I played in church, played in school, and played at everything my mother could get me on stage at against my will. So, here we are.
Same. Yeah, my
Here we
mom
are.
had me up in she's dragging me up on stage in nursing homes and Lions clubs meetings and
Yep.
same deal. Yep.
I think there's a tape somewhere of me playing at some telethon, and I know it was terrible. Like, 'cause I didn't even tune the violin. So from what I remember now, it was tuned like incredibly wrong. And yeah, so maybe one day that tape will surface. But until then, I'm just hoping that just keep that to themselves. Whoever got it.
Man, I found a tape not too long ago of my father and I in church playing. Because, my father is he's a law enforcement. I grew up in a law enforcement household. But on the side, he's a choir director and a pianist growing up. So I grew up in the church too. My mom's a pastor. Sorry, flag in the house.
I thought
hate
maybe
those.
that you were doing a Pentecostal thing.
You're giving us some praise real quick.
Sorry. And so that's why we can understand each other because we both have the voicing that came from the church growing up. My mom did teach me the violin, but like I said, I was a viola player growing up. So in middle school, my mom started sending me to Florida State for viola lessons to a professor there who decided to take me on. And I played viola most of the time. My mom's a gospel violinist growing up. My mom's an internationally known gospel violinist. And I used to go to her concerts. And so I got a lot of the voicings from my mom on the violin. My viola teacher would get mad at me because I would come and I'd be sliding into my notes playing Hofmeister.
Yo, yes, sir. I feel that.
And so we got the best of both worlds.
But
Your dad was a police officer.
Well, he wasn't a police officer. He was a bureau chief.
Okay.
He wrote the curriculum for the police officers.
Well, so my dad was a cop for a while. I've got uncles that were cops. My grandpa was a cop. We used to grow up playing in his police chief car in his driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a little bit about how complicated all that sort of makes it with what's going on right now.
Growing up in a law enforcement household.
Yeah.
Not really that complicated because my parents always taught me to stand up for what I believe in first. My father never was like, well, because I'm in law enforcement, you can't say anything or you can't stand up for you. He's never been that type person. There's a reason why my father works in training, because the state of Florida needed a lot of work there. He knows it wasn't perfect. He knows we didn't grow up in a perfect world. My father, when he first started in law enforcement, he was riding the bike to work. He was just a regular law enforcement worker, just working for the state. Then when I was in middle school, he went to college and became the chief for the state of Florida. So in order to be a police in the state of Florida, still till this day, you have to read his books. You have to read his curriculum. Then he retired last year. Now he works in ethics for the state, like chief of ethics, things like that. And so I do have a lot of respect for law enforcement, things like that. And having the best of both worlds helps me know how to move out here just a little bit, how to deal with police, but I know their language too. And I do call him for advice and things like that. So I do have a lot of respect for law enforcement. I've seen things that people haven't. I've got to experience my dad's friend being ambushed, his co-workers and things like that. I've gotten to see the best of both worlds, but at the same time, that doesn't take away from my message or anything like that. I think that it makes it a little more meaningful, if anything.
Yeah, I just, you know, coming from a law enforcement family myself and growing up as a white kid up north, it's a little different. I'm learning now that I'm in the South and I've got a lot more black friends now that I'm learning things that I didn't know growing up as a kid. And you listen to your friends talking to you and you go, really, that really happens? And they're like, all day, every day. And so
Yeah,
it's
funny.
been a learning process for me. And the same deal. I always grew up with a lot of respect for law enforcement, and then you start seeing things that make you go, well, maybe not. Maybe everything isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's funny. My father would get pulled over sometimes for like nothing, stupid stuff, and the policeman go to the car, and my father would have his law enforcement badge on, and they would give us that kind warning and just leave, knowing they were wrong. I mean, we've been pulled over because police thought my mom's violin was a gun. I remember when I was a kid, to the point where we just started putting it in the trunk, riding down Florida, instead of in the back window or in the back seat. It's just growing up down south. It's like that.
Sage Cornelius is here. What's up, Sage? I don't know if you guys follow him. He's a heavy metal guy out of Albuquerque.
Oh, that's crazy. Heavy metal violin?
Yeah, man, 7-string. He's a slayer. You gotta check out Rage with Sage.
Oh, I gotta check him out.
Does he play one of Mark Wood's violins?
Yeah, he's got a Viper.
Yeah, man. Mark was trying to get me to have one of those for so long, man. I was just like, I'm a purist, man. I wanted to sound like a violin, but
I told him the same thing. I told him because I had the 5-string, the LED, and I told him I was like, man, that thing would just sit around because I wanted to play my acoustic.
Yeah, so I definitely got to shout out to Realist because they have been taking care of me for so long, man. First, it was the NS Design because it has the acoustic body.
Yep.
And then I remember I was in Sam Mash and I saw this violin. I said, it's acoustic, but I see knobs and stuff. And I was like, all right, so I did a little demonstration to see if it sounded better than what I was using. And I was like, oh, okay. And they've been taking care of me ever since.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's what Ashanti just got, too. Both of you guys are playing our Realist now, right?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, they make great instruments.
Definitely do.
I do find myself picking up my Barkus Berry sometimes still, even though I'm getting used to the Realist because, man, I've been playing that, like I said, since I was a teenager. And I figured out, I'm realizing more, not only is my style, has my style been important to my sound, but that Barkus Berry has too. It has like this raspy acoustic electric sound that I can't get out of the Realist unless I, tweak some pedals and things like that as well. And so I love using both of them still.
Well, and that's, nobody questions a guitar player when he's got 15 guitars.
Right.
Right.
Why do you got all those guitars? Well, they're all different. Each one gives me something that I want for this thing. And, that's what people ask, because I work at an electric violin shop. People ask me all the time, what's the best violin? Man, it's like asking, what's the best pair of shoes? I don't know. Depends on what do you want to feel on your feet?
The ones I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm a rock guy. I like the Viper because it's just, I go real heavy distortion all the time on it. I don't want to sound like an acoustic. You guys have got that covered. I don't need to try to do all that. So
man, videos, your sound, you have one of the cleanest electric sounds I've heard in a minute. But at the same time, you're Matt Bell. You should.
Well, if it's a gear problem, it ain't nobody's fault but my own.
Hey, nobody's fault. But you have I love when you post stuff, man. Your sound. I'm like, damn. I want to grab the violin. I want to have every violin in the world too. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it, man. You guys are welcome up here in Raleigh at any time. I was telling Ashanti before, my house is about 15 minutes from RDU Airport, so anytime you guys want to come hang at the shop, just come stay. We got a guest room. Y'all just come stay.
Yes.
Definitely. I'm coming with a whole bunch of money too.
Come on. Well, hopefully you guys will make a whole bunch of money. And so people go to teachpeace.world, leeenglandjr.com, ashantifloyd.com. We've got all those addresses up on the screen. And man, God bless you guys and be safe out there doing what you're doing. And you got a whole lot of people supporting you and loving you and wanting to do what we can to help out. So it's been a fantastic conversation, guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you too, and thanks for what you do, because there's no other Matt Bell in this world.
Lucky
What
for
you
everybody.
is you
like
you brought this whole community of string players together with what you do too. You know, so it's really cool to see. I love following you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, man. It means I get to hang out with cool people.
Whoa.
And get drunk.
Maybe a little.
You can't say that on here, man.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with today, and for sure let us know where we can join you at your next vigil. And when you guys make it to Raleigh or Durham, give me a holler.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Peace.